Hey, this is MJ, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make a cute halter top with a granny stitch pattern along the bottom. You can crochet this top all in one solid color, or if you want to mix and match some different colors, I have another one here shown doing our cups, alternating colors as well as the granny stitch pattern. So really pick the colors that you like and have fun with this pattern. In the PDF, I'm also showing the option to make it a dress. So this one again, I've done in the ivory, and then I've alternated colors, and this would make a really cute beach cover up. So this option is also available in the PDF, but through this tutorial, I'll be walking you through just the top version of the pattern. So for this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to make the medium size, but you can get sizes from extra small to 5X by clicking through the description box. The links for the pattern and the blog will be there. Now, if you're watching this video on its release, I will be hosting a crochet along in my Facebook community group that you're welcome to come join. The crochet along features my summertime fun collection, and there's going to be some different items to make, and you'll find all those videos on my channel and the crochet along happening in my community group. So the yarn that I'm using for this pattern is Comfy Sport Weight yarn. It is a blend of 75% Pima cotton and 25% acrylic. It is a number 2 weight yarn. It is similar to some DK weight, so I have given some yarn subs on the blog that you can check out. But this yarn is available from Knit Picks or We Crochet from their website, and I'll have a link in the description box for you. And the color that I'll be showing you today is the Seafoam. So the hook sizes that you'll need for this tutorial is a 4mm as well as a 4.5mm. I'm using the Dots crochet hooks from We Crochet, and you get the entire set from a 2mm to a 6mm. So I'll have the link in the description box for these. These are great hooks with a nice soft handle. There's a nice little grip here for your thumb. They're a really great hook, so if you're interested in those, just check the description box below. And before we get started, I just want to let you know that this pattern uses beginner-friendly stitches, so you're going to need to know the half double crochet, single crochet, and double crochet stitches, but I will work through the pattern fairly quickly. There is a gear icon below the video that has settings that you can change the speed. So if I'm going too quickly, you can slow down the speed. If you're brand new to crochet, you may want to go check out some beginner tutorials for those stitches before starting this pattern. You'll need a stitch marker to get started, and we'll be starting with our smaller hook, our 4mm. So we'll put a slip knot on our hook, and you're going to begin with a chain of 16. Now, in the third chain from the hook, we're going to work a half double crochet. So yarn over, going through the chain, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3, go through the next chain, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook. And we'll work half double crochets down the chain for a total of 14 stitches. Okay, so in that final stitch, I've already worked 1 half double crochet, so I have 14 stitches, and now I'm going to add 1 more, and this is going to be the center. And we'll add the stitch marker to that center stitch now, so we know where to do our increases. Now we're going to work down the opposite side of the chain. I'm going to crochet over that tail as I go. So when you work down that chain, you should have 14 stitches, the same as the other side. So you can see your little loops here. We're going to crochet over the tail, going through the other side, other loop of the chain, working our half double crochets. Okay, so I completed working my 14 stitches. So 14 and 14 is 28, plus our center stitch is 29 stitches. Now we'll chain 1 and turn, and our chain 1 is not included as a stitch. We'll be working half double crochets in every stitch to our mark stitch. The mark stitch will be our increase every row. So marking it just allows you to not have to necessarily continue counting. If you want to make sure you're not missing a stitch, then you can continue to count, that's fine. But I'm going to finish working my half double crochets up to the mark stitch. So I'm at the mark stitch, I've removed my marker, and now I'm going to work 5 half double crochets. Okay, and then I'm going to put the marker back in the 3rd stitch, 1, 2, 3, so that is again the center. So every row now will be increasing by 4 stitches. We'll be increasing always the center stitch by 5. Now you can follow along with your pattern for the size that you're working on so that you know how many rows you need to complete for your size. So for the medium size, I want you to go ahead and work now rows 3 through 10, repeating row 2. Okay, so we're chaining 1, turning, working in every stitch across and adding 5 in the marked stitch, and then just working the rest of our stitches down the other side. Okay, and each row will increase by 4 stitches. So for our medium size, you're going to end with a total of 65 stitches. Okay, so I've worked a total of 10 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the 11th row, we're going to do that strap at the very top. So I'm going to chain 1 and I'll work half double crochets up to my marked stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So this is my 11th row. Okay, so you can see here, this is what we want to create. So I've removed my marker. I'm going to work 2 half double crochets, and that would have been in the marked stitch, and then I'm going to chain out 101. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then we'll work a single crochet in the second chain from the hook and all the way down the chain. Okay, so I've worked down 100 stitches, and now in that same stitch we're going to work 2 half doubles, and then we'll just work half double crochets across each remaining stitch. Once you've done that, you can fasten off and weave in your tails. Okay, so your cup should measure about 7.25 inches and 8 inches in height. And now what we can do, rather than fastening off, I'm just going to chain 1, and we're going to work slip stitches across the cup, continuing right across the second cup. So I'm going to be working 32 slip stitches evenly across. And just make sure not to do them too tight so they'll be easier to work into. And once you get across, you're just going to continue right. This tail should be woven in, so that won't be so loose. You're just going to continue right across. and work 32 across this cup. Okay, and now we're going to chain out 64. Okay, so I've chained out 64. We're going to flip the cups over, and then we're going to come and slip stitch into that starting slip stitch to join. We'll chain one, and now we're going to work a single crochet around in the back loops of the slip stitch and in the back loop of the chain. So work that all the way around. So just going down through the back loop of the slip stitch, and this is why it's important that they weren't made too tight or it will be really tough to work into them. Okay, so once I've worked all the way around, I'm going to slip stitch in our first single crochet to join, chain one, and now we're going to start into our textured stitch pattern. So we're going to do this by working a single crochet in the back loop in the first stitch, and then a single crochet in the front loop of our next stitch. So you're looking at the loops right here. We're going back loop, and then front loop, back loop, front loop, and you're just going to repeat that all the way around. Just gives us a little bit of interest to the stitch. Now you could work it all in just plain single crochet as well. This just gives us a little bit more texture. Okay, so I've worked all the way around. I'm going to slip stitch to join, chain one, and the only difference now with this round is we're going to start in the front loop, and then we're going to go to the back loop. So front loop, and then back loop, front loop, back loop. Okay, and it just basically slightly offsets those little loops that we see. So I'm going to complete that around, and I'll meet you up when I have that completed. Okay, so I've worked all the way around. I'm going to slip stitch to join. And now what you can do is just repeat the last two rows. So we'll chain one, so this row now will start in the back loop, the next row will start in the front loop, and we're just going to alternate working rows like that. You can really make this section as long as you want. I'm going to go ahead and work some more rows, and I'll pop up how many rows in total I'd like you to work. Okay, so once you've completed your rounds, I'm going to slip stitch to join, and I've changed over to the larger hook. So I'm going to be using the 4.5 millimeter. So we're going to chain 3. This counts as our first double crochet. We'll work a double crochet into the next 2. This is our first 3DC cluster. We'll chain 1, skip a stitch, and work a double crochet into each of the next 3. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, and we're going to repeat this all the way around. Double crochet in each of the next 3, and chain 1, skip a stitch. So I'm going to complete this, and then I'll meet you once I've worked around. Now I've run out of yarn, so I'm just going to join in a new. I'm going to do a thumb join, and I'm bringing my new yarn in to the outside. I'm going to take that, wrapping it around my thumb and the yarn 2 times. The third time I'm going to come between my thumb and the yarn tails. Just like to try to get them nice and even. I'm going to tuck them and pull. You can always trim if you have a few extra tails there. Okay, so once we get around, we're going to chain 1, skipping the last stitch, slip stitch in that starting chain 3 to join. We're going to turn, chain 3, that counts as our first double, and work 2 doubles in the chain 1 space. So now we're working that simple granny stitch pattern of working 3 doubles in every chain 1 space, and we're separating everything by a chain 1. 3 doubles, chain 1, 3 doubles, and just repeat this all the way around. Okay, so I've worked all the way around. We'll be ending with that chain 1 and slip stitch in the starting chain to join. We're going to turn, and we'll chain 3 as our first double crochet and continue. Now this section of our pattern, you can really make the top as long as you want or continue it into a dress. You can alternate rounds of color or keep it all in a solid like I'm showing you. But we're just continuing with our granny stitch pattern now. So now when working on the dress, I didn't want to have all of these ends to weave in with all of the color changes that I need to make, because each row I'm doing a different color. So what you can do is we're going to slip stitch to join. I'm going to trim this off because that's how much pink I need. So I'm going to give that a cut. Then I'm just going to pull this back and do a thumb join with my next color. So this is just, if you don't mind doing a bunch of thumb joins. So now if you don't mind weaving the ends, that's fine. And for the top, there's not too many, but if you're working on the dress, it's a lot of rounds and a lot of weaving. So to do our thumb join, I'm going to take my thumb and my index finger, and I have my new yarn to the outside here. Now I'm going to wrap the yarn around my thumb twice. Okay, and then I'm coming back around and I'm going to take the yarn and I'm putting it between my thumb and the tails. I'm going to take these little tails, I'm going to push them under, I'm going to pinch them with my thumb. I'm going to pull that tight. So it's just making a nice, secure little knot. So now I can go back and finish this round. Okay, I'm slip stitching to join. You're gonna have that little knot, and sometimes it can be a little bit of a pain. I'm gonna chain 3. I'm gonna turn my work, and I'm going to continue working my pattern around. So every time I come to the end, I'm just gonna join on with my next color. And it's just gonna save us the hassle of all of those tails to weave, because you have several tails when you're changing color every round. Okay, so I'm coming around, and this is the wrong side, so I definitely want to end on a right side round. So I'm going to slip stitch, and again, I'm just going to take and cut the yarn. can, again, just pull it back a little bit to do the thumb joint. I'm going to take this tail, I'm going to bring in my next color. So we have the thumb and the index finger. We're going to take the new ball we're bringing in, I'm going to wrap it around the yarn and my thumb 2 times. Then I'm going to come bringing it between my thumb and the tails. Just take my 2 little tails, tuck them down, give it a pinch. Knot that up, and then just continue. Make a slip stitch to join, chain 3, turn. So now I will be ending on the right side. So as you can see, you can really make the top as long as you want or just continue it into a dress. You can try on as you go, work the dress as long as you need. So I worked a total of 43 rounds of our cluster stitches for my height, but really it's just a try on as you go. So try it on to make sure. I'm about 5'6". And it's meant to be a cute beach cover up, so it can go over your bathing suit. So we're not worrying that it's an open lace stitch like this. It will be see-through, but perfect for vacation or cover up for the beach, hanging out at the pool. Okay, so I'm just going to continue with this round. Okay, so once you get the length that you want, you can fasten off. Now I am going to continue with more length, but I'm going to move on and show you the rest of the steps. So I'm just going to leave that like that for now. So I've done 7 rounds. What you want to make sure is that you are ending on the right side. So I don't want this to be gapping. I want to make sure that this is together so that it's not quite so revealing. So what you can do is take your yarn, get a slip knot on your hook, and I'm back to the smaller hook here. Okay, so I have the slip knot on my hook. What you're going to do is find your stitches that you can see right along the edge here. We're going through the back loop, and then it would be the front loop, how you're looking at it. So it's the loops that are to the inside. Okay, and we're going to pull through. As you get started, it will be easier. So as you go along, you're just going through. And you can really go up as far as you want. I'm going to aim for, I think, about 12 stitches for this size. See, once you get going, it becomes a little easier. You're just finding those loops going through, making your slip stitch. Okay, so I've gone with 12. fasten off, and then you'll want to weave in these tails. Okay, just to secure, get this to the wrong side of the work, weave that through. You can see how nice that looks along the side. Now, what we're also going to do is we need to add some more band to the back, attaching it to the cups, which is also going to make it have a better fit. So I have a slip knot on my hook. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to the side. You can see that first stitch there. And we're going to join with a slip stitch. So pull that through. And now I'm going to work across single crochets in each of the chains. So we had a total of, I believe, 64. I'm just going to double check. Okay, so 64. So we're going to want to be going across 64 single crochet stitches. Okay, so I've worked across, and now what I'm going to do is slip stitch. And I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch as well. Okay, and then I'm going to turn, and we're going to just work back. We're going to skip over the slip stitch, and we're going to work back in single crochets across. So now you could do your single crochet, back loop, front loop pattern, or we're just going to work, I'm just going to work single crochets in each stitch across. And I'm going to work a total of 6 rows doing this. So I'm working the single crochets across. When I get to when I get across, I'm going to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches. So I'm going to work that, and then I'll meet you up. Okay, so once we get all the way across, you need to slip stitch in the next stitch and the next stitch. Okay, and then you're just going to turn your work and continue working back across. Okay, and you really can make this section as going up the side of the cup as much as you want. I'm going to aim here for 6 rows and see what I think. So I'm going to complete this, and then I'll meet you back up again. So just keep slip stitching up the sides as you go, just joining that back piece. Okay, and this is going to give it a lot more structure to the back. Okay, so I finished 6 rows. I've slip stitched, and I'm going to come back and do my final row so that I'm ending on the right side. So this is 7 in total. So I'm just going to finish single crocheting, and when I get to the other side, I'll just slip stitch into the 1 stitch to join. Okay, so once you have that complete, you can fasten off and weave in those tails. So I'm going to weave all my tails in off camera, and I think I'm going to add some additional length to my top just so it's a little less. Okay, so I finished working around a total of 9 rounds, and I find that is good length. For myself, you could of course continue to make it as long as you want. I had a little bit of yarn left over from my 2 balls for the medium size, so I could have potentially made it a little bit longer, still within the 2 balls. But if not, if you want to go longer, you will need to purchase another ball for this size. So now all you need to do is weave, fasten off, weave in this tail. And if you're working on the dress, follow along with the pattern for the increases. The increases are really simple to make. When you're working into those chain 1 spaces, you're just adding 2 clusters rather than 1 for those increases. So if you want to follow along with the pattern, increasing it. Now, if your body shape doesn't require you increasing for your hips, then just continue with length for the dress, and that would be completely fine. and do as many increases really as you need to fit your hip size when you're following the pattern. If you're following along with the crochet along, I just wanted to show you that there is going to be a skirt in the collection as well. If you're interested in the ebook, there includes the skirt as well as a cardigan with the granny square that really coordinates well with the set. So you could have the cute little top with the skirt for the beach. You can make this into a dress for the beach, or you could go with a cardigan if that is what you prefer. So really whatever your style. The skirt, I have done it short, but you could even do this long. So really once you start making your squares, you can have fun with it and really modify as needed. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell to stay updated on all my new videos and tutorials. Thanks so much, guys. Have an awesome day.